To respond to this objection, Thompson now brings in another example or another thought experiment. And let's just refer to these examples as the window examples. So to be clear, the main aim of these examples is to show that abortion can be morally permissible even in cases where the pregnancy is a result of consensual sex. Okay, so in the window examples, Thompson asks us to imagine a somewhat realistic scenario, right? You know, it's kind of stuffy in my room, it's kind of hot in here, and so I may want to open my window. So I unlock my window, I open it, and the breeze comes through, right? I open my window and I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? Right? This is a very pleasurable activity, opening my window and feeling the breeze. Okay? But it's a fact of the matter that there are burglars out in town. I assume that there are some burglars in Fort Collins, and burglars tend to burglarize, right? So when I open my window to get fresh air, I am increasing the chances that a burglar might get into my home, right? I mean, if I would have kept that window closed and locked, the burglar probably wouldn't get in. But if I open my window to get fresh air, it's possible that a burglar could get in. Now, the question is, for now, if the burglar does come in when I open my window to get fresh air, am I morally obligated to let the burglar stay? Do I have a moral duty now to let the burglar roam through my property, destroy my property in irreversible ways? Presumably not. Presumably you are not inviting a burglar in simply by opening your window. That burglar is still an intruder. That is still an unwanted person in your home. Just by opening the window, you are not consenting to a burglar coming in. Okay? Moreover, let's say I have knowledge that there are burglars out there and that burglars tend to burglarize. And so, I want to feel good. I want to open my window and gain some pleasure that way. But I also don't want burglars to come in, so I take precautions. And I go to Home Depot or, the corner store, and I buy metal bars, good, thick metal bars that are designed specifically to prevent intruders from coming into my home. I get the best bars money can buy. I'm taking safety precautions here, okay? And I install the bars correctly. I follow the directions to a T. The bars are installed correctly. And I read on the box, the label, it says these bars are only 99% effective, 99.9% effective against preventing burglars from getting into your home. So I say, okay, those are pretty good chances. I am taking precautions against getting burglarized. So a few days go by, I'm leaving my window open, it's nice and fresh in my house. And what do you know? I happen to buy the bars that were defective. And it's that 0.001% chance, but that burglar got into my house even though I took precautions against it. So now the burglar's in my home. Is that my fault? Am I morally obligated to let the burglar stay even though I explicitly took actions that were specifically designed to prevent this from happening? I tried to prevent this. And it's only this 0.001% chance that my efforts have gone in vain, that those bars were defective. Presumably, I am not morally obligated to let the burglar stay just because he is now in my house. Okay? What Thompson is trying to say here is that there's a difference between consenting to sex and consenting to pregnancy, consenting to a fetus being dependent on the mother's body. Just by opening my window, I am consenting to having fresh air come in, but I'm not consenting to an unwanted intruder in my house. Okay? So by having sex, you're consenting to engaging in sex, but you are not consenting to being pregnant necessarily. It's even more clear that consent is not given when safety precautions are taken, i.e., some form of contraception or birth control, right? If the couple is using condoms or, taking birth control pills, for instance, then they are taking explicit measures, explicit actions against the consequence of getting pregnant. They are trying not to get pregnant. In Thompson's view, they are showing that they have not given consent to being pregnant. They were trying to avoid it after all. Okay? So overall, Thompson believes that having sex does not necessarily mean that you are consenting to pregnancy. You may be consenting to pregnancy by having sex, but you may not. Okay? And to avoid any lack of clarity, she's saying it's very clear that no consent is given when contraception or birth control is used. So that is how Thompson responds to the objection. Consensual sex does not equal consent to being pregnant and consent to the fetus being dependent on the mother, just like opening your window does not mean consenting to being burglarized.